Well, hello everybody. There's feedback from somebody there. Hello guys, it's Colin here, Adley here, ADDMORE Services, and we're going to have a meeting today about the Restaurant and Bar Collective with our guests from Lou Design and Bailey. So we'll move on, and we're going to be talking about collaborative strategies for faster and smarter F&B project delivery. So today, there'll be myself, Colin Adley. Lou is joining us is the principal of LUS Design. We're talking about all aspects of the design. Irma, who is Director of Business Development with Bailey Construction. She can explain more about their company in the course of the webinar. And Jeff is joining us as the Director of Special Projects for Bailey Construction. So we have a real team of experts with a lot of experience to join us today. So we're looking forward to getting into the meeting now. So, Irma, would you like to give us a bit of information about Bailey so
Sure,
people can understand where you're based and what you do and what states you cover and so on?
you got it. So we are a commercial general contractor. We are pretty diverse, but definitely hospitality, restaurants, retail are our core foundation of our experience. We are licensed in about a dozen states. We've worked in about 20 plus states. We go where our clients take us, right? When we do our retail rollouts or multiple restaurants. Our restaurants cover different areas. I mean, we've been in sports venues. We're at the airport a lot. We work for retailers such as Nordstrom doing their cafes and their bars. And then we also have some mall developer clients that we do a lot of restaurants for them.
That sounds really good, and it's great that you've got. I know you've got offices right in
Yeah, we have
California.
offices in Scottsdale, Arizona, and Orange County, California.
Which,
Overall, oh, go ahead.
yeah, sorry, that just works nicely with us. We're based here in Nevada, so between
Yes.
Nevada, sort of Arizona, California, Washington, we got that area well resourced with offices and local availability. And then, as you say, I know ADDMORE, we work in all 50 states, and I know you work in a lot of states, as you said, specifically where the clients take us, that's where we all go. Yeah. So
Exactly.
thanks for that introduction, Matt Bailey, and we're really pleased to have you on board. And ADDMORE's a privilege to be collaborating with a company like you that we can offer between all of us. The goal is to offer design and build, whether you do it, you just want to deal directly with Bailey Construction, or you want to have the input from Lou and the design and myself. But the advantage you get with the companies are at the meeting today is the opportunity to have a fully turnkey solution that can work with your architect.
Yeah.
And Bailey's list of references for restaurants they've built is quite extensive and impressive.
Perfect lead in. I mean, in total, we're at over 130 restaurants and about 89 million in value.
Excellent. It's very, very impressive.
Thank
Yes,
you.
real pleasure to work with you guys. So let's moving on then to ADDMORE. A little bit about us. Obviously, a lot smaller than Bailey Construction, but I've worked on billion-dollar projects for over the last 20 years. But ADDMORE specializes in bespoke business solutions, but more focusing on offshore outsourcing, which is project specific, so more transactional, or using intelligent resourcing where we provide people. Plus, then we have another side of the company, which is the consultancy, where I myself and as required can provide local teams for project management and support for. I do a lot myself. I'm often an owner's representative on projects, so I can either work for the owner or work with the design build team or specialist contractors. As I have a background and knowledge of a lot of specialist work, we can also represent specialist contractors. We specialize in the outsourcing and talent for architecture, BIM, VDC, F&B drafting packages, which is where we align good with people like Lou, who's a great designer, and we can help take off some of that tedious documentation time and do it at help bring in at a competitive price at the end of the day. And we also provide professionals from all levels, from very senior people with degrees and masters and 15, 20 years experience, right the way down to graduates with 3 or 4 years experience. So where we tie into all of this is really providing, we do renderings, we do BIM, we do project management. We're more of a support service in this trio that's here today of how we're intending to work together. But if somebody came to me and they said, you know, a great builder for a restaurant and you've got a client, I would have no hesitation to recommend Bailey. And there's no commissions involved. It's just good referencing somebody because I know they will not let my recommendation be tarnished by performance. They perform excellent. Same with Lou. If I need to recommend a designer for F&B with years of experience who really adds value to these clients, I would just um, pass on Lou's details, and you can work with each one of us individually or collectively. There is no binding agreement. This is just a mutual collaboration. Over to you, Lou.
Okay. Hello, everybody. Yeah, it's a real blessing to be here. Colin and I have developed a strong relationship in Bailey. I've known for years. So I've been practicing since 1980. I started at Westin Hotels. So that's the 40 years experience. But with my own company, Lewis Design Associates, since '02, I exclusively design only restaurants and bars. And I also do other food service related businesses. But I just finished my 790th restaurant and I've designed over 600 bars, and that's front and back and everything operational. So I'm really a turnkey person, but I have all the relationships. If you need chefs, if you need operational, whatever. So I'm just a one-stop shop in anything to do with food service all over the country. I am being a designer. I can go anywhere. I don't have to the clients, but it's always the best, in my opinion, to have a good contractor from the get-go. There's so many things that come into play, and I've always had this philosophy, and I always say, don't step over dollars to pick up pennies. It's a waste of time. I've been able to do this with my own company, with many contractors over the years in the Puget Sound area, and it just has always been the best thing for the clients. So that's really, I offer so much more than just being a designer, but I can do all parts. I am a interior architect. I'm not a licensed stamping architect. I always work with architects. And then, excuse me, I am a certified lighting designer, which means I am certified in all 50 states. I can do interior and exterior lighting design and do the calculations so the MEP don't have to do that piece, so it saves the client some money there. I'm all about how can I help the client and the team up front to help them, as this tight margins. This is a tough business, but I love doing it, and it's the only thing I do. I turn down jobs all the time, institutional. I just don't get out of my lane. I stay in my lane. So no, if you call me and you all work together here or anybody else, that's all you're going to get. If you want something else, I don't do that. I don't do institutional. I don't do public money work. So unless I'm in with a group, but it's all private money work. So that's kind of me.
That's excellent, Lou. Thank you so much. And we'll move on into a bit more of the meat of everything now. So there's a lot of industry trends going on now. So I think I don't know, maybe Jeffrey or Irma can give us some information on what they believe is the industry trends as they're seeing it now out in the field.
Yeah. So, I mean, I specifically deal with tenant improvements, renovations for the most part. We do additions as well here in SPG, but we do ground up stuff at Bailey as well. What we're seeing, especially with this adaptive reuse, is we're seeing with private clients specifically having issues with the economy and trying to share the load as far as cost. We're seeing a lot of people trying to reuse things, right? Mm-hmm. Finishes, for instance, are typically new because they want their branding involved in it. But if they're finding ways for some of the bigger dollar values with the MEPs and specifically with food and service design to include all equipment, that's how they're trying to save money. And so what we typically do is we would like to come on as early as possible and try to help out with facilitate some of those things.
Yeah, that makes a big difference. I think there's a lot of vacant spaces out there that need repositioning, and I think we're all seeing that's happening. I think Lou's got good experience in that environment.
Yeah. Well, I've seen that, for 20 years, I've preached that to clients. If you can find something that at least has some infrastructure, plumbing, electrical, but sure, plumbing and draining. So you don't have to transfer floor, maybe you do, but it's not just raw space. And yeah, that's all I've gotten in the last 2 years from either real estate brokers, I've worked a lot with them, and developers. And yeah, to your point, that's what they want, and that's what they should go after first from a cost standpoint. Yeah,
And
get in
especially,
cheaper.
yeah, and I'd like to add that especially a lot of these locations,
Mhm.
they have a story, right? And when you have a story and you have other businesses surrounding there, it's going to definitely help that
Yeah.
restaurant or bar.
Oh, it does. Yeah. There's
Yeah.
years of history of 40 years, and they retire, but that brand is there, or that memory of a restaurant is there. You know, from
Yeah,
the
I
public.
mean, I know
Yeah.
I did a project over in White Plains where I was living in New York, and there's conversion of a bank that had been there for years and it became an Irish pub and bar. Being Irish, that
Mhm.
was very interesting, but it turned out fantastic, and the history of the building was brought in and linked into everything, and it really is a smart way to go. And there's a lot of properties out there if you connect it with the right brokers and things. You know, rather than ground up bills, there's lots of opportunities for owners
Yep.
who they need to, as you say, it's a very competitive market out there. Everyone's got to find every way they can to be smart about the way they move forward, I think. Okay, so I think that's where the trend seems to be going for all of us. We're all seeing that it's adaptive reuse is really a big part of things. But Lou, can you give us a bit more
Yes.
information about the modern
Sure.
hospitality design?
Yes. The biggest factor up front is the engine that drives these businesses. First and foremost is is the bar restaurant. There's two engines. If there's just a restaurant or any food service, that has to come first. I think about everything because I can do all the other things, and that's an advantage. But that's where the money's made. So those got to be right. So in hybrid spaces, a lot of times I've done here recently, like 3 or 4 just around the holidays, some due diligence for some brokers that own these buildings, and they were a restaurant, but they subdivided it. And so they had me come in and look at it, and I did due diligence, and I charged them a fee, and then did some basic floor plans that helps them market it, what's left, and try to keep as much infrastructure. So it's not so, but that's a win-win. I think that's a trend that you're going to see a lot more of here going forward, because the inventory's out there, and smart brokers, that are involved. And of course, they own the building, so it helps them too. But sometimes that's not the case. But most of the time, it's going to help. And then speed to market, that same thing. You got a speed to market really going to be different. And I'll talk about another slide. But basically, I could design ventless kitchens, 100% with electric equipment and some other things, and reduce the fog. I'll get into that in another slide. But again, these are all pieces that up front you're trying to save the client cost. That way they can get a couple pieces of equipment, and I specify that stuff. I look at their menu, we work together. So those little things can make a huge difference down the road, because I design for 20-year life. That is my standard. That is my standard. And
that's really good. Good.
Yeah.
And what we like to do is for renderings for people like Lou, we can do really nice visuals, be it a class 1 rendering right to a class 5 rendering. We can provide those. We have a lot of Revit architects in our company, so we can also, help assist. Like when we work with Lou, if it's BIM related and we're doing coordinated design, we can do a lot of that. So whether you work with individually or collectively, there is a lot of added value all round. That's for sure.
Well, on the construction documents, Colin, those few projects we've done here last year, get proposals to the clients. I was able to say one client, this is on the construction document phase. I did the original first for the 3D. I used SketchUp, but then I gave it to those folks to do some more polishing. I saved the client on the fees $4,000 on the CD phase. Another one was like $3,500, and another one I think was like $6,000.
Yes.
So that's value up front. I still do the QC. I'm doing all that, but why? Like he said, no, it's a no-brainer for me. Having done it so long, he's like, hello, and they're all vetted, and they all have my standards, and he does that with whoever he works with, his people. That's what I really like about ADDMORE services. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, thank you. So let's move on again to I think Irma can give us a bit of help on this one. Market realities and about design challenges. Irma, do you have anything you would like to mention here? I mean, for me, my only part as ADDMORE, we do a lot of estimating, but quantity takeoffs and estimating
Mhm.
is one of our services. And I'm a chartered builder and a quantity surveyor by profession. So it's the cost management side has always been a big part of my role in my career, which is a 50-year career in construction. So costs are rising. I mean, we all know after the COVID there, the escalation just went through the roof. It was hard to keep a track of it all, really, and schedule. So we also offer planning and scheduling with Primavera. And the importance of people planning, if you don't have a plan, you're planning to fail. That's the old saying, and it's so true.
Mhm.
Right.
And I see a lot of smaller restaurants and clients who probably don't have the experience don't realize that you've got to have that schedule from day one, and it's got to be a working, living document, not something you produce a one-off, put it in the drawer, and well, we did a schedule. No, you've got to live and work to it, and everyone's got to buy into it.
Mhm.
But rising costs are there, and I think probably Irma can give us a much more update on current costs and in the industry for builders.
Well, what I'd like to first of all start off with is that getting us in early is always best because
Right.
we
Yeah.
understand the process. We can work with you collaboratively to come up with ideas um, to reduce costs. If we can get in, even with the broker assessing the site, figuring out
Right.
what's there that's existing, what can we reuse, what cannot be reused. Well, we're not responsible for the code, but we can help work with the design team
Right.
to talk to them about, okay, we've got a couple options here. If you trigger a certain code item, this is what it's going to cost. But if we do this instead, we don't trigger the code compliance, and we can continue to move forward. The other thing is, and we'll talk about this a little bit more, but when you have a contractor in early, the budget and the design then go together, right?
Right.
Bailey likes to pride itself. We've used terms like real-time costing, but if we're working continually with the design team to inform the client, here's what your costs are going to be for this particular design, and it helps them make decisions along the way.
Mhm.
We
Yeah, it's
also,
really good. Yeah.
yeah, the other piece is the permitting. If we are in early, even though the permits tend to fall on the client side, we can help with getting those scheduled in. And if there's a schedule issue, can help mitigate schedules on a permit.
Yes.
I don't know, Jeff, did I cover it all, or is there anything you want to add?
No, you did a good job. I mean, I just kind of reiterate, kind of bounce on top of what you said, and that's getting us in early can help with constructability, right? I mean, if we can reuse things that maybe a designer doesn't necessarily know, or some of that kind of stuff, infrastructure with walls and all that kind of stuff, it would heavily reduce costs, overall cost of the project, which obviously the less work you're actually doing, a rework and new work, it compresses the schedule. So
Mhm.
ultimately, again, what we talked about earlier with owners wanting to be more strategic with their costs and stuff, this allows them to get back to market early to get that return on investment at an earlier pace. So that's ultimately the goal, because they want to pay for it as soon as they can, right?
Right.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes.
Well, those two, the two other bullet, I'll go back for 1 second because I want to chime in with what they said is exactly right. The front of the house and back of the house need to be done at once. But for example, these, more kitchens that you can do, there's a lot more power electric that has to be used because it has to be electric equipment for the ventless. So that's even more important on a redo. Do we have the juice? Are we going to have to pull three-phase from somewhere off the pole? There's a lot of things that can kill and should kill a project because that's too much money, depending on how much is done. So to their points, and I say it all the time to my guys, to my clients, that are people I'm been introduced to, and I look around. I know enough. I look around. I go, you need to have a contractor look at this. There's some sketchy stuff here that I don't want you to sign your lease. That's the whole thing. If I can get in before and get these other folks in too, they can walk away or they can negotiate. They can get a better lease if they have. Oh, if you're not going to do that, then they have more negotiating power. So that's a strong thing. Yeah.
That's right. Thank you, Lou. Yep.
Yeah,
And I
thanks,
guess
Lou.
one more thing real quick, bouncing off of what Lou just said. I mean, if you can get us in early, we can try to help push through the permitting thing. Again, we don't like to deal with permits that much, but if we can help break out like the demo portion permit, right? We can
Right, right.
tear off some walls to see existing conditions.
Exactly.
To your point, Lou, to try to help the owners decide if they want to move forward or not. And if
Exactly.
so, maybe there's code violations that the owner can put back on the landlord, right?
Yeah,
Oh,
So
great. Absolutely.
those are
It's their building.
there's always things to do for sure.
Absolutely.
that,
Absolutely.
that's a real added value right there. That's a good example, I think.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay, so adaptive reuse is what we're all
Right.
saying is the way the trend we're all seeing, right? With great restaurant bar conversion spaces. So, would one of the team like to run through some comments on this one?
Sure, I can jump in a little bit. I think not every space is going to be ideal.
Mhm.
And so these 3 bullet points here are if we can get some semblance of existing utilities that are adequate and some existing mains that we can pull off of, are very helpful. The familiar facilities team, we've got a couple of mall clients that we know their facilities team in and out,
Mhm.
and being able to work with them to get those approvals faster, because you do have to work with your landlord, is a huge plus. And then the structural load, it's if the space is already has an assembly use that is for a restaurant, that's always helpful. Again, try not to trigger any code or seismic upgrades. And then I think, Jeff, if you want to speak a little bit more to the bullet number 3, that would be helpful because that's more in your category.
Yeah, I mean it's the outlines here, the bullet points pretty straightforward. If the more we can reuse, the faster and better it is. We don't have to trigger certain permits if we can get away with it. If we can use existing equipment and we can just change vents or we can change some of the duct work to fit into the new layout of the facility. All these things help reduce cost and time. So
Right.
we want to use existing runs if at all possible.
Yeah. And that helps me as a designer too. Like those last 2 points are 2 systems that I've developed that, depending on the menu and everything, that's the key. And that's what I work with the clients on. That's first. And they have a menu. I won't work with them unless they have a detailed menu, drinks and everything, because that's my Bible. That's what I start with. But to these 2 points, these will change. These are game changers. Imagine having a restaurant that you have to upgrade the power, maybe, or maybe not. Probably a little bit because they're pretty a lot of juice for those things. But then you don't have to do all the ducting you're talking about. And then when that starts kicking in, that goes to the bottom line every month because you don't have to do hood cleaning. You have these immersion system, which is the next one. The less fog, it's fats, oils, and grease. That's a huge issue all around the country. But and I have a system these are all NSF, everything's approved. They're from out of Australia. They can biodegrade all your vent, your hoods, your grease filters, even pots and pans that are carbonized. You put it in there, you have a plug in, they're small, they have big sizes. It takes out the fog. You can open the spigot at the bottom of the sink, rolls over, and dump it into the floor sink. That is a game changer. So those 2 together, especially in adaptive reuse, right now I got 3 projects that I'm working in different phases. They walked away. And then this other broker got involved that I know. He said, "Hey, Lou knows about this stuff. I've educated him a little bit." So we went down. He's going to go into space down here in downtown Tacoma. It's a sushi place because we don't have to worry about that noise. So that's a huge one for anybody going forward. Look at that. Have some time. When you're talking to people, whoever it is, use some common sense and some questions. Just don't arbitrarily think that lease, they're trying to sell you a lease. You got to be your own advocate, but experts like us, for a few dollars here and there, just do it on an hourly rate, can really save you money, thousands of dollars, and that might be the right location for you. So that's kind of, my 2 cents.
That's good, Lou. And I think that really the ventless hoods is a big thing. And
Yep.
if you can get that, I mean, tip the water down the sink. I mean, the
Oh,
floor
yeah.
drain. I mean, how good
Yep.
is that? I mean,
Oh, yeah, it is.
we've
And
all
also,
had our
yeah,
nightmares with grease
yeah,
traps.
yep. And just the equipment itself, there's some that don't have to be under at all. It's just,
So,
it's technology. Yeah.
so that leads us into this challenges and solutions. So, the ventilation pathways within the existing building structure we've
Right.
just mentioned. There are ways
Right.
around that now. Technology is there for ventless systems,
Yep.
grease management and equipment location well, the grease management is one thing, and then there's the equipment location, which somebody like Lou with experience, he's obviously going to always look to mitigate long runs. But
Right.
when you bring in the new system he's talking about from Australia, a lot of that is mitigated as well. Noise
Right.
control, I mean, that's huge during construction and restaurant
Yep.
operations, especially if an adaptive reuse is a building that's in a part of a space occupied by others. You've got to take all of that on board alongside with safety, which goes without saying. And then
Mhm.
you've got possible code upgrades. And Lou, you looking into that, there's accessibility,
Right.
seismic, new energy management codes for glazing and DOS. So these are the challenges. But if you go to an experienced person like Lou and Bailey's, there's a builder, contractor who specializes in and done so many restaurants. Between the two people on the call here, Jeff, the building, and Lou in the design, they've done hundreds of these restaurants. They have solutions for the challenges that can
Right.
make what a space may not seem feasible, but with some smart construction knowledge, it can make it a workable space that really is a very cost-effective space. But you need
Right.
to have some expert advice. That's my opinion to recommend to any owner, especially if you're going to go into an adaptive reuse, because just because it's concealed, you don't know about it. But there's stuff that's
Yep.
concealed, even we don't see it, we know about it because we've got experience of doing these week in, week out, month in, month out, year in, year out. We've done so many projects between all of us. We can see or have a predictability of where some potential problems could occur. And
Yeah.
people like Lou is doing restaurants all day for all his career, has
Yep.
been a specialist in this field. He can save you a lot of money with some advice from him. I'd highly recommend Lou, or if you're in another state, somebody. But you need somebody giving you advice. And if you get on board, make sure you have the right type of builder who's done these type of jobs. Somebody, for me, Bailey's is pre-qualified. They've done so many of these types of jobs. You've got so many referrals, references. Don't just go and look for the cheapest cost, because you're going to end up
Right.
with a disaster on your hands.
Absolutely.
Look for a be cost
You get
effective.
what you pay for.
Yeah, be cost effective, be cost smart, but
Right.
you pay what you get for at the end of the day. And
Yeah.
you're going to pay for experience and knowledge, but it's going to benefit you in the long run. And anybody with a food restaurant bar scenario, you're in it for the long run. You're not going to invest all this
Right.
money in the lease unless you're in it for 15, 20 years. I mean, so don't take a short, as Lou said very early on, don't be penny wise, pound foolish type
Right. Well,
of
and the biggest thing too to mention are two things, simple things, but unless the brokers know it or the landlords want to do it, they should always have the drains camera. That should be a prerequisite to anything. That can be all kind. I've seen too many stuff that, oh no, and they've already signed the lease. Like, oh Lord. And so, it's just
Well,
little things like that.
I'm glad you mentioned that, Luke, because I just recently, well, it's 3 years ago now, I was on the owner's representative team for the Fontainebleau
Yeah,
Hotel in Las
Fontainebleau,
Vegas.
right.
Now, anybody who knows about that hotel, it was a $4.1 billion project. I mean, it's 4,000 hotel rooms, 38 food and beverage outlets, but the building had stood still for 12 years, and there was
Right.
a lot of concern because with the big recession and everything, and there was been to a couple of scenarios where the backers had failed to come through, but eventually they got it back on the track. But there was a lot of services, which the main work had been maintained by the facilities team on site. And as you said earlier from Irma, knowing those facility guys and what they knew and the information
Oh
they
yeah.
could give was huge. But we had to check all the ducts, and a lot of pipe work that was going to be ripped out. We invested in the technology is there. Camera surveys are fantastic, and there's a lot
Yes.
of other survey pipes out
Oh
there
yeah,
at the moment.
there are. Absolutely.
You can do a lot of non-destruct. You can do some small destructive tests, but you can do a lot of non-destructive investigation.
Right.
And on
Well,
that
X-ray.
project,
You got to X-ray the
yeah,
floor
you
because
can
you got
actually
floor
we
sinks.
save.
If you got a pre-stressed slab and you got to know where you can put floor sinks. You can't. I mean, yeah, it's a big deal. Yeah, for
Well, we
future.
had to check. We
Yeah.
had a lot of stainless steel piping on that
Oh
job.
yeah, yeah.
It would cost a fortune to rip it out and replace it.
Right.
We had to check it was after 12 years sitting there. But we all the surveys and reports were done, and we saved. It was probably millions of dollars at the end
Wow.
that we saved that we didn't have to
Yeah.
rip out. That with the MEP, we had a great MEP team on the project. But that's what we're saying here. You got to look. You got to do a bit of investigation, and you might save a lot of money. Talk with
Right.
people like Jeff from Bailey, who've got been on the ground in the field. They got experience. They can recommend maybe with a little bit of investigation. Might need a bit of destructive work here and there, but they can give you a lot more visibility then on where you're going to
Right.
have to go with code, what codes you're going to hit, and so that's why people like Bailey and Lou on board are a huge advantage to any client.
Well, the
Colin,
last thing.
sorry,
Oh, go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead.
I say, Colin, your story reminds me, and Jeff can relate to this, is our restaurants we build out at the airport at SeaTac. Building restaurants over the baggage claim center where you can't have, you got to go in underneath. Jeff, are you getting a little PTSD from that?
Yeah.
More than a little. Yes, more than a little.
Yeah, really.
You're bringing back PSD for me because I worked on in the London Stock Exchange. I actually had to build the new offices above the stock exchange. And you can imagine when you're building, you do get a bit of water when you're testing stuff here and there. If that water had gone down to the stock exchange in London, can you imagine? I'll be on global TV. So I had nightmares doing that project. And then again, when you're doing casinos, when you're doing anything, you're doing it like on the Fontainebleau, for example, the pool deck is 6 acres.
Yes,
you had to rip out all the old pools and put in these new stainless steel pools and all the drainage. And where does 1/3 of that 6 acres sit? Right above the main casino. So when we were doing the waterproofing and making sure everything, there's no possible leaks, you've got to make sure you've got the right people, the right specifications, the right craftsmen, the right business partners, because one mistake there, and when that leak happens and it hits that casino floor, you're going to put a casino out of business. You don't want to be around for that lawsuit. So
we digress. Sorry about that, Colin.
No, but Colin, this is true. This is really good because think about this. Anybody on this call, if you're architects who work with us, or if you're clients and users and you're interested, you're going to hire a lawyer typically, right, for your contracts and things like that. Well, we're no different. I mean, you need us maybe more than you need legal assistance to a point, yes. But think about that. We are professionals. We demand to be paid what we should, but you get in return for that money you're going to save every year, every month on your operational costs. And it's just how it is. You remember, anybody on this call, you can only do food and labor is all you can control. Now there's other things, but pretty much.
But I say, look, with knowing you and Bailey, a lot of these companies, once you get them on board, there's a lot of added value that we all do without charging, just because we have knowledge, experience.
Oh, absolutely.
And we're trying to make the best option for our client, and obviously it makes it more efficient for the project, for everybody. Everybody makes more money if a job goes well.
Oh yeah.
No one wants any disruption on a project. So when you have experienced partners like Bailey and Lou on board, and even ADDMORE when it comes to project management jobs, we can give you a lot of added value that you're not actually paying for in the rate you're paying for the service, but you're going to get that value by having these people on board. Especially people also who can work well together. I mean, I've worked on lots of projects in my career. I've worked in projects where teams did not coordinate well between builders, or there was like the us and them, the different tribes, where if you can get a project where every party involved, from the architect to the builder, the interior designer, the contractor, and all the stakeholders are all focused on the one thing and work together, it becomes a dream project. And to be honest, in my life, only one project I worked on that was, I would say, is a complete business success model of that, was the Burj Al Arab in Dubai, which we finished that back in 2000. But that was they were calling it 7-star hotel at the time. It was all suites, 202 all suites hotel, built on a man-made island off of the outside of Dubai.
That's a
But that
sale
job,
build. That's a sale
yeah,
building thing.
that's the
Yeah.
one.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
everybody on that project really cooperated,
Cool.
helped each other. No finger pointing, no blaming. Let's get it done. Let's be efficient. Let's get this project out, and that's the way it should be. And when you have people who know each other and work well together, the client takes that benefit automatically.
Hmm. Yep. That's a good point.
Okay, let's moving on. So this one is over to Irma. This is the project you guys have done, Bailey. If you want to give us a little bit of information on that, you or Jeff.
I will pass it on to Jeff because this was his baby.
So yes, this was a project that was a renovation of an existing facility. It's actually at a mall. The landlord is a very specific landlord. We've done a ton of work with them, but they need a lot of hand holding, need a lot of things per whatever they want, right? I mean, a lot of tenants come in from out of the state or out of the country, and they think they got it the design the way they want and all that kind of stuff. But these guys put a halt to a lot of stuff. So understanding the landlord piece on top of the client piece, which would be the end user tenant, and trying to be a facilitator between those two to get the best outcome was super helpful in this project. This is an out of country client. Most of the stuff in here was owner provided, and it was from Mexico. Collaboration early. And then also, as kind of spoken here, the 70% of kitchen equipment reused, all that kind of stuff helped crunch schedule, which again, as we talked about earlier, it's getting return on revenue sooner than later, which is what the clients want. And then the strong collaboration. Again, we do in SPG, a lot of times we do have owners direct, not necessarily just an architect or owner's rep, but we do a lot of times kind of in between talking to them directly. So a strong collaboration is always key to the project success, even knowing that every single project is going to have hiccups. I mean, it is construction and it is existing conditions. But having that strong collaboration helps the project immensely. And the lessons learned, understand kitchen functionality early. That's it kind of was a bit this project a little bit, but again, with the collaboration, it kind of mitigated a lot of those issues and that could have arisen to be a bigger problem. So definitely understand and get involved with designers as early as possible to try to mitigate those things is key.
And it's true, this restaurant has been very successful, not only engrossing for the client in the mall, but also exposure for the entire design and construction team and the client. We've won multiple, us and the architects have won multiple awards on this project, and everybody loves it. Everybody goes in there and enjoys the food and the atmosphere, and it's definitely a great dining experience for this client.
Well, you can see
where is that based? I mean, where is the location of that? I can see that.
This is in Bellevue, Washington. It is
okay.
yeah, it's at Kemper Development's property. If you can see there the wood back behind there in the backdrop in that photo,
Yeah.
all that wood came from Mexico and it was provided by the owner, but they were just straight sticks of wood. Our superintendent on the project, who did an amazing job, he soaked every one of those pieces of wood overnight so it was pliable, and he actually bent all that stuff himself, which is super impressive. And kind of the weird thing that he did is, I mean, if you look at the framing that was behind here, it was just it was kind of it was a maze. I don't even know how they got it to work, but he did a good job, and he did a fantastic job of putting he rented a projector. We didn't have one, so I guess he didn't rent it. He bought a projector, the old school projectors in schools they had back in the day.
Oh yeah.
And he broadcast images on the wall to make it easier for people to see, which was kind of a cool thing.
Oh, that's a cool idea. Yeah.
Yeah.
I tell you what, when you're on a site, I often say if you've got a rendering, as long as it's pretty up to date and not an old dated first conceptual design one, it can really help the design team when you're having early meetings to run through those renderings. Just give you all an idea what we're trying to achieve at the end of the day,
Right. Yeah, kickoff. Project
well,
kickoff.
if I'm up in Washington, I'll definitely, Lou, if I'm visiting you up there, we'll have to
sir.
go down there.
We'll go eat there, Colin.
We'll all go together.
Yeah, sounds like a plan. I'll come up and see you guys and we'll go there for dinner.
Cool.
Okay, so we'll move on to the next one. A great project there. And this one, I think, Lou, if you could explain a bit
Right.
about designing for the guest
Sure.
experience, as what the
Yes.
success of that previous restaurant, obviously, is well built, well thought out, but the guest
Hmm.
experience is obviously very good. That's why
Yes.
it's got such awards, and everybody likes walking in there. And you feel it. I go to restaurants myself. There's no feeling in the place. It's cold. You're never going
Yeah.
to go back. There's other places you go time and time again because of the ambience, because of how it makes you feel, and it's all about the guest experience.
Yep, it is. And a lot of it is, again, first and foremost, the menu will drive a lot of the concept and the look. But see, I'm always of the mind, I'm not designing this to get an award or anything like that. I'm designing this because it's their vision, it's their dream. I am a vision caster. And so I look at it from a standpoint of everyone's different. I mean, I've done any type of ethnicity many times you can think of. This, of course, is an ethnic restaurant. So it's client involved is so important. And I'm so glad you guys had that because that can make or break a project. So that whole experience, because at the end of the day, we all get to walk away and they have to run it. And so from a standpoint of the front back, how they merge and the lighting and acoustics and materials, it is a stage. You're setting a stage every night, but they have to perform in that environment, the employees, and they have to be trained and all that kind of stuff. So this is a very orchestrated event, and the good ones, they orchestrate it and they do it right, and they do it every night, or whatever their day parts. The day part is types of the day that you're doing different service. And in the bar, if they have a bar or restaurant, that of course is more and more becoming the center, and more food is there. And I'm up on all these trends, and there's all this eventless equipment. You can do a whole menu and app. I look at pricing because that's the number one thing. How much more profit do they make if you do this menu this way and add a few more things, and then you can have more drinks that pair that, especially now with all these trends I keep up on is there's less alcohol. The population is totally different. Demographics are huge in all this stuff. And now it's 20s, and I'm on the early end of but there's not a lot of people in the middle. 40s and 50s, less population than ever in our country. So all those things, that circulation, everything like that is so important. And I have to be driven by codes. A lot of the design decisions are driven by the International Building Code, the ADA, and the lighting. We have the strictest lighting energy code in the 50 states, but I have no problem with that. We use LEDs. And so I know all these pieces, but it's the warmth, the ambience, it's the coloration. It all comes together to make that experience. But then you have to get the food out to them, because you'll have one or two times they might come back. If that food isn't good, they're not going to come back. At the end of the day, it's the food, but you have to set the stage to promote the food. And
I think that's the difference with speaking with somebody like you, Lou, who's a food and beverage specialist. It's something, there's not great interior designers we work with,
yeah,
but they wouldn't really have the knowledge of,
no,
as you said,
no,
the menu. People make money different. You change the food, it changes what drinks people buy, and completely
yep,
change your profit ratios.
yep,
I mean, that sort of experience, like we know guys who specialize in that in the bar, integrated bar
yep,
development. We
yep,
even have
yep.
those guys available to us. If we really needed to recommend somebody for the bar experience, we can do that
Oh
as
yeah,
well. I mean, Luke can do it all, but we have other people who are also really specialists in that bar
yeah,
integration sector.
yes.
But being
Excuse
knowledgeable
me.
on the menus, and you know, the owner is building that restaurant to make money, and how he mixes his menu, and then obviously we want to give him flexibility in the kitchen, so because
Yep.
not everything's going to always stay the same.
No,
So
it's
we
not.
have
Yeah.
to, so we have to consider all that. But you get that when you have experienced
Right.
designers like Lou on the team.
Well, it's the
So
preparation too, because I know chefs. I've worked with Gainsborough chefs. I've learned by watching them, but I always ask these questions. Why do you want this piece? Or this piece can do three more things. So that's part of my FCSI. We get to go all these things for free. I have credits I have to maintain to keep my professional status within that organization. And it's a worldwide organization, guys. So if we have a client, say here, and just like the reverse of what you guys just did for those guys, I can reach out to my FCSI anywhere in the country, a world. I belong to the Americas division, which is Canada, North and South America. So again, like Colin say, we have these resources but I also have the years of doing it on top of that. There might be some new FCSI guys, gals, and they're just a few years out. My opinion, you shouldn't have anybody designing these places unless they have at least 15 years experience, minimum.
Yeah.
It's
Yes.
just, that's just how it is with this. It's just there's too much risk in the margins.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, thanks, Lou.
Yeah.
The experience definitely counts in this sector. So
Oh, yes.
we'll move on. We'll move on. I mean, the guest experience is key. We all
Yes.
acknowledge that, I think. And then another interesting subject, which is from design and from the construction side, is the operational excellence. What we've been talking about, the adjacency of the kitchen that does impact the efficiency and cost. I mean, travel, how you
Yep.
travel between A to B and between one piece of equipment and another. The movement of people is amazing. How that can impact profitability on a kitchen where somebody like Lou involved in designing that kitchen at the beginning. And now that can be more challenging on adaptive reuse sometimes, especially if you're trying to reuse some of the equipment.
Oh,
But
yeah.
somebody like Lou will get the best of the situation,
Yep.
and that's what you need. Because the
Yeah, I know all
equipment
that stuff.
selection, it's
Yeah.
got to match the infrastructure.
Yep.
As Irma and they said before, Jeff said before, you've got to check the infrastructure, the power, all those things. It's got to match to make it work. And the main thing is, I know that from the builder's point of view and myself as project manager, the last thing any of us want is rework by aligning design with operators early. We can avoid rework by aligning our
Yes.
design with the operator early, whether it's
Yep.
with the operator, the founder, his representative, somebody involved early on. And I've done a lot of restaurants where we had experienced chefs who had opened multiple restaurants, and their input was valuable. I mean, we really made
Yep.
sure that before the design was released and gone, and we weren't knocking walls down in the job. We'd already made all the decisions up front, and the job went well commercially. And all of those restaurants that I know I was involved with, all were very successful restaurants. But I would say I worked with a particular few chefs there, and they were outstanding people. Anyway, so that's back of house. Operational excellence is very important.
Yep.
I'll just move on because we've
Yep.
got to watch time. So we'll start to speed this up a little bit. Navigating permits and codes. I think Jeff said earlier, and Irma, and I can pass Jeff back to comment, but mainly this falls nowadays within within the client's remit to organize. But experienced builders like Bailey are able to help and support and expedite as required, if required, when required. Would I be correct in saying that, Jeff? That's how you guys work?
Absolutely. I mean, obviously we want the construction phase to go as smooth as possible. So most of the time, the building permits specifically are on the owners. That way, then they have all those things figured out prior to bringing us on. We typically will specialize kind of in the MEP, the trades permits. So we will help, we can get in early and start designing that early.
Yeah.
That helps the project. That's typically where we lie.
Yeah, I thought so. That's great, but you have to be experienced to be able to help like that, and that's why you need to go to companies like Bailey. So let's moving on then. I think permits critical, and
Yep.
having a good expediter. I know when we do bigger projects, like when we're on the Fun and Blue, we have expediters on board from the beginning, and they really made a difference throughout the whole project, to be honest. Avoiding permitting delays. Yeah, a permit expediter, in my opinion, is typically the client's responsibility, which it was definitely on the Fontainebleau, but it is invaluable for the client to have it, I think. I mean, and for the bill, it's just for the whole team, it's going to make things go better and for everybody.
Yeah, we're in a relationship-based industry, right? And so
Right.
Yeah.
have relationships with the authorities having jurisdiction, so they can.
It makes especially when you do hit some challenges or gray areas, those people can really help walk you through stuff that might otherwise become a block wall. So
kind of
we'll move on.
I was gonna say quickly, this last little bullet point here. This is key. I mean, obviously all AHAs have, when they're doing the review process, they have comments, right, that need to be corrected. Getting us as early as possible, whether we are part of the building permit or not, we can help with our expertise and our subcontractors to get correct responses to those comments quicker, which help push these permits through faster instead of doing 3 or 4 revisions, maybe you only have one, right? I mean,
Right,
that's
right,
kind of
right.
the ultimate goal.
Yeah,
Yep.
that really helps. Yeah, that's great. Okay, so the cost drivers in restaurants and bars. So I think we've been through sort of
Yeah.
mentioned costs earlier, but these are cost drivers. But
Yep.
in Lou and Jeff, I think we all agree MEP, fire, life safety,
Oh yeah.
grease traps, hoods, finishes, types of finishes, the durability standards, kitchen and bar equipment, the complexity, and then the occupancy assembly ratings and restroom requirements.
Right.
These are all sort of standard, things, but they are the cost drivers in restaurant and bars. And I think working with us, we as a group or individually, as whichever you want, Lou for the help you on design, Bailey's can do build and even design build. And for us, where we get involved in project management or supporting other teams involved, these are things that we look at closely because this is where you can monitor your costs carefully with some and also with some smart things like Lou said. There are be aware of the technology is out there. Don't build like you did 30 years ago. There's lots of
Right.
new technology, and it needs to be proven and tested technology, and it is proven and tested. But it's not maybe in common practice in every restaurant, but it might really help you with your costs in your restaurants.
Well, one thing I will mention, I just was down last year in Texas, the largest conglomerate food service equipment manufacturer. They're a $10.8 billion company. They have 160 equipment lines. I was down there for Ventless. So I got to see them all lined up. They pretty much own most of them. And it's a big difference when you can see that. I've spec'd a lot over the years, but you look at that, and we had about 20 of us there, and we got to test the stuff. And there's just stuff out there that, a lot of people don't have a clue about.
Yeah, there's a lot of information that people just are not educated about, but it's
Yeah.
great products and really help the cost,
Oh, yeah.
So we'll move on as we're nearing the end of our time today. Target value design, not value engineering. I think Irma, is it Jeff? You want to have a little word on this?
Take this one. Basically, we're not fans of value engineering. We'd rather do target value design, which it means you bring us in early. That's been the common theme, is that we understand the client's vision, and we work directly with the client and the architect to make sure that the design tracks with the budget, bottom line. Because otherwise, if you have the architect furiously does a set of drawings, they throw it over the fence to us. We look at it, we say, wow, if you included this earlier, we could just saved you on this, and that. Then it has to go back for redesign. And who pays for those fees is the client. And then
the client. Yep.
And and then the schedule is impacted too. So that's our preference is budgeting and design go hand in hand together.
Yeah.
Yes. Couldn't agree more on that one.
Absolutely. Yep.
Technology integration. Well, it's a little bit far after where we could get involved. If projects are going to run with a 3D model and use BIM, you've got, again, like Lou said earlier about having experienced people, there's a lot of people offering BIM 3-4 years out of university. They're not the people. All my BIM guys are generally 10 years plus experience using Revit, 3D modeling. They're all very, very efficient. We've got professionals, Revit architects and 3D modelers working all over the United States, supporting architects and interior design companies. Digital twins, yes, it's definitely, if you're looking, not so much in these small restaurants, I don't think, but for operational planning, it is a very good tool. But if you're going to use BIM, you might as well, especially where you've got extensive MEP facility plants and things like that, you might as well use it properly and plan to use it not just as a design tool, but all the way through to operational facilities and maintenance planning. As we go forward, the two-letter word keeps popping up, AI, and AI assistance is there for space planning and forecasting. But again, I don't think that is going to ever replace the knowledge and experience of people like Lou and Jeff and the chef and the experienced operators. It will be a tool and it gives you options that experienced people will review and move forward. But AI is definitely something that we're all watching, and I'm definitely following it closely. and is going to be a growing part of all of our tool set. And cloud collaboration between the designer, GC, and operator. There are many tools and ways to work together in sharing documents and tools from so the software's out there like Procore so that we communicate all the RFIs, material submittals, drawing submittals, everything's logged, tracked, the revision numbers. There are a lot of excellent products out there for cloud collaboration, and we have a lot of knowledge on that, and we can work with other people, or we can help recommend some things to implement for the benefit of the project. So technology is something that we're all experienced people, but we are, for me in ADDMORE, we embrace change, and we are looking forward to take it into the future, into our organization, and implement, not just review it and implement. But we'll move forward again, and the future of hospitality design. I think,
Well,
Lou, you can agree with this one.
Yeah, oh yeah, definitely. I just think, like anything else, every project's different, but at the end of the day, it's their business. It's working together, because again, they got to run it, and we want them to be successful. So all those things you have there are paramount, especially outdoor dining in certain climates, even up here, in the Pacific Northwest. But that's the biggest trend that we're seeing. I have all these trade journals. I'm involved with all the parts of this industry, and that is a big one. It's a national trend that is going to become the next thing. What it can impact, depending on the code municipality issue, is you add that dining outside. Do you have to change your bathroom count? Are you going to overdo that? So those are things that we have to watch. But again,
Yes.
That's the experience thing, But everything else, yeah, absolutely modular. I've done a lot of places. I'm doing some right now with containers mixed with mobile. Got a project mobile pizza thing behind, but it's going to be for baking, and they're going to have a wine bar that we're converting a container in, so it's mobile. You can go all different places. So
it's interesting.
So stuff like that. Yeah.
Modular is something for another webinar for me. There's
Yeah.
a lot of things about. I've been very heavily involved in that, and in fact, we've done the architectural millwork shop drawings now for, I think it's like something 300 Starbucks, actually all through the Middle East. Actually, we haven't yet done it in the USA, but so we have a lot of experience with how somebody like that is rolling out units all the time, and how they use modular units and make every space different, but they can minimize costs by sort of some modular application. But modular is a word for another webinar, that's for sure.
Yeah.
So let's moving on today. So the takeaways for me today is engage your general contractor early during the building selection. I mean, if you're going to work with a company like Bailey's, get them on board early. You're not just going to deal with their marketing team. You're going to meet guys like Jeff, who've got experience in the field. You're going to get a lot of added value for that. Collaboration definitely reduces risk and costs. Don't get into these us and them team situations. Get everybody together, integrate the team, become a team. We're all going to be proud of the end product. Adaptive reuse. It's all about efficiency, speed, and sustainability. It's a current trend. It's growing, and I think we're all going to be taking more care in this sector, because it's just a growing part of the market. The design, the general contractor, operations alliance is critical. So between the design, the general contractor, and the operations, they've all got to be aligned, integrated on the same goal. And if you have the experienced team working together, even if the owner side maybe doesn't have the most experienced client representative, he's going to have a very dependable team that he can turn to, that are not just out there looking for every single change order they can make to make a quick dollar. They're looking to build relationships, get referrals, and to build their company on the reputations that they've built. So that's what I think the key takeaway of this is today. And anybody in Washington, California, Arizona, Nevada, as a minimum, Bailey for construction and for the design of the food bars and the restaurants, Lou S Designs, I can't recommend them highly enough. I wouldn't recommend them if I didn't know that they wouldn't be able to live up to the recommendations and probably exceed my recommendations. So moving forward, how to work with our teams. Well, you can contact all of us individually on this. Anybody who's on the call today will get this slide deck. Anybody who just messages any of us, I think on LinkedIn or anywhere, we can send them this information. But for Bailey's, if you want to contact Norma, her information is on the screen. There's Lou's information. There's my information. We've all got websites. We're all out there on social media. It's not hard to find us. These are companies that I highly recommend that you consider talking with if you're in the food and the restaurant and bar business and you're going to start a new venture. Having one or two or all three of these people involved will only be an asset for your project. So we'll just move on from there. So now is the time. If there is anybody on the call meeting listening today and you've got any questions, just drop a message in the chat. I don't see anything in there right now, but if there isn't, please feel free to direct message any of us on our LinkedIn profiles or contact us individually, and I'm sure that we will be able to answer you. This will be released within about a week's time. It will be released out on social media, but it'll be on YouTube, the full recording within a week. And if you would like a copy in your inbox before that, anybody who contacts any of the team here will let me know, and we will make sure that you get a copy sent your way. Whether you heard the meeting today or you're listening to this maybe 2 or 3 months in the future from today. So it'll be back to the future. So we'll move on from there, BJ. And then so the next step today is everybody who is listening will get this ebook from ADDMORE Services, which is related in terms of the BIM services and renderings if your architectural company wants to go that route on your project. But if you go to contact Irma directly, they have lots of brochures, lots of information, referrals, lots of photographs, case studies of projects that they've completed for many years, as Lou has, and they are more than willing to share them to you. They're both very professional organizations. I highly recommend them. So for me, I think that's all we're going to have time for today. Irma and Jeff of Bailey's, it was great to have you here. I'll see you in the cantina, maybe later in the year.
Margarita time.
It's a pleasure. I've been very impressed, having done some more research myself on Bailey's on your other projects. Very interesting, very impressive portfolio that you shared with me, Irma. And I really look forward and hope that we'll have the chance, if not working together, I'll hope that I can extend some work your way or you can my way. But whichever, this is, we will only benefit the clients who work with any of us, because everybody on this call today, I know, are very professional, passionate about the industry, and all take great pride in what we do. Yes. So thank you, everybody. And Lou, thank you again.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I'll be speaking. I'm already doing a lot with Lou, and Lou is the best sales marketing man I've got for ADDMORE Services. So we'll keep working together. And that's it for today. I will send you guys copies of all of this. And thank you so much for taking your time. I know it was just slightly over the hour, but I think there was a lot of interesting information there for people who are looking into doing a restaurant or bar. There's a lot of information at this meeting. I think it'll be worth watching the full recording or even the snippets. We'll break it out into some snippets as well. Well worth it. Thanks again, guys, and I'll see you all soon.
Thank you so much for inviting us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you, guys.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.